Hi, you're watching this video because you've recently been admitted into a Colorado Division of Youth Services Youth Center. Regardless of why you're here, you have a right to feel safe. And that includes feeling safe from sexual abuse and sexual harassment from anyone you come into contact with.
You have a right to feel that the staff and the program are protecting you and providing a safe learning environment. And you have a right to understand where to report to and who to report to if you've been sexually abused or harassed. This video might be brand new information to you, or it might just be a review. Either way, we're glad you're watching. Please stop the video at any time if you have a question.
Did you know that the Division of Youth Services is committed to enforcing the Prison Rape Elimination Act, or PREA, within all of its youth centers and contract facilities?
No, what is PREA?
PREA is a federal law designed to protect residents in detention and correctional facilities from sexual abuse and sexual harassment. It also prohibits retaliation for reporting.
What does that have to do with me?
Through PREA, the Colorado Division of Youth Services prohibits the sexual abuse or sexual harassment of youth by another youth or by any employee, contractor, intern, or volunteer.
So staff decide whether or not a behavior is a PREA incident?
No. All allegations are reported, and all Division of Youth Services youth centers in the state of Colorado and all of the contract facilities have zero tolerance policies when it comes to sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and sexual or affectionate contact.
What if I meet someone and we want to be in a relationship together?
Please understand, wanting to be in a romantic relationship is totally normal. But DYS prohibits any type of sexual or affectionate contact between youth, as defined in the Rules Policy 14.3a, which you'll become more familiar with as you go through your intake and orientation process.
In order for you to be able to take part in protecting yourself from sexual abuse and sexual harassment, you should understand what sexual abuse and sexual harassment look like. You should be able to recognize these behaviors so you can avoid becoming a victim.
During this training, you will learn your rights and responsibilities, how you should respond to protect yourself, the definitions of sexual abuse and harassment, how to report assault and harassment, and what the agency will do after you report an incident. You have the right to be free from sexual assault or harassment, as well as free from retaliation for reporting it.
Let's talk about the definitions. What is sexual abuse? There are different types of sexual abuse and different types of offenders, and you have a right to be protected from all of it.
Sexual abuse can be perpetrated by another youth or by an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor. Sexual abuse of a youth by another youth includes any of the following acts if the victim does not consent, is coerced into such act by overt or implied threats of violence, or is unable to consent or refuse.
Contact between the penis and the vulva or the penis and the anus, including penetration, however slight. Contact between the mouth and the penis, vulva, or anus. Penetration of the anal or genital opening of another person, however slight, by a hand, finger, object, or other instrument.
Any other intentional touching, either directly or through the clothing of the genitals, anus, groin, breast, inner thigh, or the buttocks of another person, excluding contact incidental to a physical altercation. The sexual abuse of a youth by an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor includes any of the following acts, with or without consent of the youth.
Contact between the penis and the vulva or the penis and the anus, including penetration, however slight. Contact between the mouth and the penis, vulva, or anus. Contact between the mouth and any body part where the employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor has the intent to abuse, arouse, or gratify sexual desire.
Penetration of the anal or genital opening, however slight, by a hand, finger, object, or other instrument that is unrelated to official duties, or where the employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor has the intent to abuse, arouse, or gratify sexual desire.
Any other intentional contact, either directly or through the clothing, of or with the genitalia, anus, groin, breast, inner thigh, or the buttocks, that is unrelated to official duties or where the employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor has the intent to abuse, arouse, or gratify sexual desire.
Any attempt, threat, or request by an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor to engage in the activities described above. Any display by an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor of his or her uncovered genitalia, buttocks, or breast in the presence of a youth.
Voyeurism by an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor is not allowed. Voyeurism means an invasion of privacy of a youth for reasons unrelated to official duties, such as peering at a youth who is using a toilet to perform bodily functions, requiring an inmate to expose his or her buttocks, genitals, or breasts, or taking pictures of all or part of a youth's naked body or of a youth performing bodily functions.
What is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment includes repeated and unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or verbal comments, gestures, or actions of a derogatory or offensive sexual nature by a youth, employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor to another youth. If an employee, volunteer, intern, or contractor is a perpetrator, this includes demeaning references to gender, sexually suggestive, or derogatory comments about body or clothing, or obscene languages or gestures.
Sexual abuse not only violates PREA, it's also illegal. All employees, volunteers, interns, and contractors of the Colorado Division of Youth Services and Contract Facilities are mandatory reporters who are required by law to report all sexual abuse allegations to the Colorado Department of Human Services and local law enforcement. And you should report this behavior too.
How do I report?
There are many ways to report. If you suspect or know of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, you should immediately report your suspicion or knowledge to a trusted youth services specialist or counselor or any adult you trust.
I don't know what to do. She made me feel so uncomfortable.
I know what to do. We need to report this.
Report to a teacher. Hi, do you have a minute? I need to tell you about something that happened.
Sure. Have a seat and let's talk about it.
Report to a clinician.
She didn't touch me, but the way she talked to me really bothered me.
It's good that you're reporting it. Tell me what happened.
File a grievance. Report it on a sick slip to medical. Tell your client manager or parole officer.
Okay, I'll help you file a report. Can you tell me when this occurred?
Yeah, it happened this morning in class. Report to an outside agency. Call the hotline at 1-844-CO4-KIDS. You have the right to call anonymously.
Hello. May I take your report?
Yes, I'd like to report a case of sexual abuse.
Remember, it's better to report it and be wrong than not to report it and be right.
So what can I do to protect myself?
In order to better protect yourself, here are some situations that you should avoid. Do not accept food.
Do you want my dessert? Take it. You can just owe me one.
Do not give or take favors. Hey, you want to go ahead of me? Be aware of special attention and report it.
Hey, do you want extra time out of your room tonight? I'll let you out after everyone goes to bed. Just don't tell anyone.
Do not borrow or loan anything. I gave you my shoes last week. You owe me. Always report any incident of abuse.
If you tell, you'll be in just as much trouble as me.
Avoid any sexual or affectionate contact with your peers. Any sexual or affectionate contact with your peers is a rule violation.
The Division of Youth Services has zero tolerance for sexual abuse and sexual harassment, and also has zero tolerance for the following behaviors by youth.
Minor youth sexual misconduct is affectionate behaviors involving youth, and the act is not coerced. Affectionate acts include the following: kissing, hugging, caressing, holding hands, and cuddling.
Youth sexual misconduct that is a major rule violation is sexual activity involving youth that includes the following:
Intentional touching, either directly or through the clothing, of the genitalia, anus, groin, breast, inner thigh, or the buttocks, hugging, kissing, mutual masturbation, vaginal, anal, or oral sex, however slight, by a hand, finger, object, or other instrument.
Completed, attempted, or requested sexual acts are included. If you are engaging in sexual behavior with a youth whose age makes sexual contact with them a crime, your youth center is required by law to contact Colorado Department of Human Services and local law enforcement.
If you've been the victim of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, don't keep it to yourself. We want to protect you and your peers, and we can't do that unless you report it. If you are sexually abused, you can help to preserve valuable evidence if you don't change clothes, shower, brush your teeth, eat, drink, or use the restroom. Your youth center employees will do whatever they can to make you as comfortable as possible until the police allow you to do anything that could dispose of evidence.
What happens after I report sexual abuse?
The person or persons who allegedly abused or harassed you will be separated from you. You will receive medical care and counseling if needed.
Then what?
Staff will write down your reported information and forward it to the director. An investigation will start immediately.
Who does the investigation?
The PREA compliance manager of your youth center will conduct an internal investigation, and depending on the allegation, they'll work with the Colorado Department of Human Services and maybe local law enforcement too. The prosecuting attorney may decide to file criminal charges. During the investigation, the investigator will review your report and any other available information. Youth and staff will be interviewed.
How soon after I report will an investigation start?
It's Colorado Division of Youth Services policy to report all allegations of sexual abuse and harassment immediately.
Will everyone know it was me?
The report will be kept as confidential as possible. Only those who need to know will be informed.
What happens if my allegation is substantiated? And what does substantiated mean?
If an allegation is substantiated, that means it was investigated and determined to have occurred. If this happens, steps will be taken to prevent the problem from occurring again.
If I don't like a staff member or one of my peers, wouldn't a false report be a good way to get them in trouble?
Please keep in mind, reporting sexual abuse is a serious charge, and all reports are taken seriously. Anyone found to have filed a knowingly false report of sexual abuse or harassment may also face sanctions and possible criminal charges.
What if I report abuse that's happening to me and I get threatened for reporting?
Retaliation for reporting sexual abuse or harassment is not tolerated. If you are cooperating with an investigation, you will be protected.
What will happen to the person that hurt me?
Anyone found to have committed an act of sexual abuse or harassment will face sanctions and possible criminal charges.
Let's review. You have a right to be free from sexual abuse and sexual harassment, and you have the right to understand how to report it, whether it's happening to you or someone else. Zero tolerance means that there is no sexual contact allowed at any division of Youth Services Youth Center.
Most importantly, report it. You can file a grievance, fill out a sick slip, tell Trusted Youth Services Center staff, or call the hotline at 1-844-CO-4KIDS. That's 1-844-264-5437.
Thank you for taking the time to view this video. We take your safety seriously, and you should too.